Really stoked to be here today with Michael Zhang, Southland, a very talented table tennis player and very clever guy. Is obviously forging a great career at Duke University in the States and about to do some great things in the tech world too. So, Michael, let's go right back to the start. I mean, you're a young guy. You're a Southland Southland table tennis champ at 13. What was that like?
Yeah, so I remember that tournament quite clearly. I was not the favorite to win, and and yeah, I guess I just really wanted that game. So like making it to the finals was fairly straightforward. I guess I played everyone that I encountered previously. But in the finals, my opponent was much stronger. But like I think yeah, so I was 13 and I really wanted that game, and I fought pretty hard and then I stole that win from him, and that kind of changed my table tennis trajectory a little bit. Yeah, and yeah, I'd say that was my first like big tournament, and like from that, I progressed like nationally and all that. So yeah, so that was a good like good groundwork. I'd say.
And it's one of the smaller sports down here, and obviously we're a fair way from other places. Was it difficult being to progress in table tennis?
Yeah, so up to that point, it has been okay. Like I'd be pretty keen to play with everyone who was in the club, and sometimes I'd go back to China to see my dad, and then I'd play with some people in China as well. Um, but after winning that tournament, progressing from there was much harder. Um, yeah, like the training in Invercargill at that time wasn't very regular, and basically there was no system. They started implementing a few things that kind of worked, but it's still like not really enough for someone who wanted to take the sport to the next level. So yeah, I definitely hit a plateau when I was around 16, for sure.
And you were always quite ambitious. I guess after that, especially after that win, you were ambitious around your table tennis. You wanted to see where you could go with that.
Yeah, definitely. Like I started performing pretty well nationally when I was like around 13, 14. Um, yeah, like everyone kind of knew me as like the kid from Southland that did well in tournaments, and yeah, like that was all good. And then when everyone is improving, I wasn't improving at the same rate, so that was what justified like the drop off, like around 15, 16. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've talked previously about your involvement in the Academy Southland program, and did that play a role, I guess, in helping you go to the next level?
Yeah, absolutely. So I forgot when I enrolled in the program, but it was at the time when I felt the plateau was getting steeper and steeper. So I got in the program while I was performing quite well, and then once I was in, like I felt this drop off of me compared to the juniors from Auckland and Christchurch. So they felt much better than me at the time, and I kind of gave up. Honestly, like competing like nationally, I just didn't have the same drive to win. Like I guess the that feeling in the Southland residentials when I was 13, like that finals game, like how much I wanted that win compared to how I was competing when I was like 16. There was a huge difference between the two mindsets. Yeah, like I was feeling a bit down and a bit resentful, honestly, just like the fact that I wasn't getting good training, like I wasn't really improving. And then yeah, like the academy changed me in numerous ways. I think in terms of table tennis, like Jason, I forgot who else were there.
And
There's
Carly,
Nardine, Carly, and
Amy, on
uh,
the nutrition side.
yeah, Amy. Yeah, so the team was like they really put a lot of effort into me. And one of the first things I did with Jason was kind of plan out how to train properly, like how to train better. Um, and that was really helpful. We kind of made sure that I could kind of control my training myself. So I started like kind of logging my training every day. I would go in and I would ask someone to like do some drills for me, and I'll like write everything down. And I think I started an Excel spreadsheet and kind of plotted everything up. I just took it a little more seriously. And also seeing the different athletes in the academy and how well they were performing, that kind of drove me to perform at a higher level as well. So yeah, so like like I think the academy was invaluable. I think if it wasn't for the academy, I might have just really stopped progressing in table tennis. But after that, I re-entered the New Zealand national squad. I started playing much better, much smarter, and yeah, it's really changed how I view table tennis.
And you went through James Hargest, obviously, and Hargest has done very well academically. I'm thinking about someone like Hamish Tomlinson, who was a Rhodes Scholar. You've obviously gone on and done some really cool things. Was this a plan of yours, or did you sort of fall into this stuff? Or
Yeah, I think I've always been academically inclined, and I think Jason knew that too. I think Jason knew that, like, I was in the program. Yes, I was a competing athlete, but he knew that for me academically it was where to excel the most in. There's some very true athletes in the academy, and I'd say I'm like different from them. And that didn't mean that the academy was putting like less attention onto me. Like it just meant that I was a different type of competitor. Um, yeah, and yeah, I find Hamish Tomlinson pretty inspiring. Like, I read his story after he got the Rhodes Scholarship. Um, Daniel Redman was someone pretty inspiring. I think when I was in intermediate school, maybe he got ducks, and I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, I think academically, I always wanted to be up there. I was never ducks of Hargis. Like, I didn't do super well academically, but like I definitely did want to be the best I could be. And yeah.
and there's this other side to you too, this musical side. Tell me a wee bit more about that.
Yeah, so with music, I've been quite fortunate. My piano teacher, her name is Masako Moya. She has been great. She really kind of drilled in me this love for music. And see, like, I don't know if she has as many credentials as other like music teachers around here, but um, we went through her, and like, I did well in the competitions, and she looks at music in a very creative way that's different from, I guess, like the way in which other people view music. And we worked together for 8 years, pretty consistently. And yeah, so I did pretty well on the classical side, classical piano. And when I was 16, 17, I started transitioning into jazz. And I think that's what I do now. And it's been great in the States because jazz is pretty big in the United States. It originated from here, and there's some big names in North Carolina, and I got to play with some pretty cool people out here. So I grew a lot musically while at Duke as well. So
It's awesome. And so yeah, you've been able to carry on obviously the table tennis and the music and the studies.
yeah, Duke is a great incubator for all those things. Yeah, like in table tennis, wow, like Duke has so much resources, so much money, and and we've been like, and the tournament, like the college tournament system is really great. There are like several tournaments a year for college students, and Duke pays for all of them. Like, they pay for our travel, our food. Um, like, they paid for a trip for us to go to Dusseldorf, Germany, in my first year to practice with the German national team. And yeah, and this year they were going to send us to Taiwan. But yeah, so like Duke resources were great, and like after going to Duke from Invercargill, it definitely feels pretty fun to be able to go to tournaments and have it all be paid and have great competition and stuff. And musically, yeah, Duke is great too. And like like there's just a huge jazz scene in America that is not present in New Zealand. And students at Duke are all pretty talented, and they all work really hard. And yeah, actually that's pretty incredible how hard Duke students work. When I first got to Duke, like, it didn't make sense how much people did. People would pour would pour themselves into their studies, and also like go to parties, and also do whatever the things they like. Like, some people have their own blog, some people have their own businesses on the side, and they all do those things while they maintain everything else that's going on in their lives. So I think that's like a really impressive thing about Duke students, and I had to adjust to that after attending, and yeah, so like it's been great. Like I've been keeping everything up, and yeah, and I hope to do so in the future.
Yeah, fantastic. And you've obviously done well over there. And it's a Bachelor of Science, and I'm interested to see there's a wee bit of philosophy thrown in there as well.
Yeah, so I'm gonna graduate with a Bachelor of Science in Engineering in Electrical and Computer Engineering. It's a pretty rigorous degree. Um, yeah, there's a lot of math, physics, signal processing, machine learning, and yeah, like it's a pretty broad degree. And yeah, I'm happy to be majoring in it. It was a lot of work, but I guess it's over now. And yeah, like in my first year, I kind of discovered my love for philosophy while at Hargest, and I guess I don't know if this is specific to Hargest or just New Zealand high schools generally, but I was kind of pushed into the science tracks. So I did physics, chemistry, and I did music and economics and calculus. But I never did like English, history, media studies. All those humanities subjects was kind of empty in my development, I guess. And so I didn't know what philosophy was. I didn't quite know what history and geography were either. And after being at Duke, I took some of these classes because we had to for our liberal arts requirements. And philosophy really kind of influenced me because there are some pretty smart thinkers out there, and they've thought through a lot of tough problems that people go through each day. And like, if you're too tired to think about them yourself, you can just read what they thought about, like read their writings and see how they thought about it. So I guess that's why I find philosophy really interesting, and I'm getting a minor in it. And I kind of wished I studied, I don't know, something like maths or computer science, just so I could make more room for philosophy. But like, I couldn't have known that coming in. So I'm pretty happy with my engineering degree.
And you're very close to graduating, but obviously COVID-19 has turned many people's lives upside down, including yours. What sort of effect has it had for you?
So yeah, so not being able to say goodbye to everyone is a tough one. I think most class of 2020 students are feeling the same, in that their last semester of college was cut short. And for everyone, basically graduation is not going to happen, at least when it was scheduled to. Um, yeah, so it's quite an abrupt end to a nice 4 years. So that's definitely tough. Um, I had plans to travel during the summer, or during the American summer, so May, June, July. So I guess those plans won't happen, but like, I mean, what can you do? I think I'm still in a pretty privileged position to have a house to come back to, in a safe country. And yeah, I've been quite fortunate in that Microsoft is a really large corporation, and they have a lot of online products and sources of revenue, such that like the employees won't get laid off from COVID-19. I know that some smaller companies are rescinding their full-time offers to students, just so they're trying to stay lean in this time of crisis. So I've been fortunate to be working for Microsoft, and nothing's really been affected yet with that. Everything's looking pretty fine for me to start in August. So that's been good. And I think I have to kind of rethink what my plan is for the next few months. I talked to Hargest. I'm trying to tutor some students off my time here for free. I think students deserve to have a chance to excel even in this time. So I'm hoping that I could kind of do some work for Hargest on the side, but I don't quite know what to do with myself for the next few months. So I guess that's like the big unknown. But yeah, could be worse.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let's just talk about that a wee bit more. I mean, people might have heard of this little company called Microsoft that you're going to be joining later in the year. I mean, how did this opportunity come about, and what will you be doing there?
Yeah, so I worked at a consulting firm in London one summer in my after my second year. The firm was Oliver Wyman, and like I thought consulting was really fun. Like I liked the fast-paced style, and at the time I was considering what to do for my future. I think the engineering degree is really broad in that it kind of allows me to go into any field I want to. So I was always thinking about like maybe going to the tech world or back to consulting or maybe going to finance or something like that. And the following summer, I was trying to find a job in the tech industry because after doing consulting, I realized, yeah, it'll be cool to do consulting again, but I kind of want to get to know the technology sector a little more. So I applied for some software engineering internships, um, and Microsoft got back to me, and they offered me an interview, and I passed it, but they had already filled up their internship spots for that year. So they pushed me back for the next year, and so I interviewed the next year, but they asked me if I wanted to pursue software engineering or program management. And I looked up what program management was. And so program managers sit in between the business side and the software side. So they're like the interface between clients and I guess the back end developers. Um, I thought that that'd be quite interesting given what I did in consulting, and I thought that was fun too. Like I kind of like talking to customers and being on the client facing side of a company. So I ended up pursuing that for my internship interview, and I was invited to Redmond for a final round on site, and they put us in the hotel. I went through 4 back-to-back interviews. So after that, oh, actually, funny story. My second interview was with someone from New Zealand. Her name is Catherine Mansfield. She lives in Seattle now. I think she's a principal at Microsoft. She's from Canterbury. I think she did her PhD in Canterbury. But I thought it was quite interesting. I ran into her in my interviews. And after that, they gave me the internship. I interned on the Internet of Things team, and the team was doing some pretty exciting stuff. And I thought it felt pretty comfortable. I think like it's hard to turn down Microsoft considering what they offer for their employees in terms of like salary, medical, and like other perks. And Seattle was really nice, and I really liked that too. So after that, I decided I'd go back. So I took the return offer, and so I signed at about like October, November of last year. So yeah.
That's awesome. And I think Internet of Things, I guess some of that stuff's slowly drifting down to New Zealand, but can you unpack that for us a little bit more?
Yeah, so Internet of Things is basically there are dumb devices that we had that we could not collect data from. But now we have smarter devices or smarter version of those things. So let's make use of the data that we can gather from those smart devices. A typical use case is like it's a smart thermometer or a Fitbit. So like the watch traditionally, like that couldn't collect your heartbeat, and like that couldn't collect your like sleeping schedule. It couldn't collect a bunch of information that it can now gather about you. So given we have this improved hardware and software, what can we do about the data that we can gather from new data sources? And for the consumer, it's cool. Like the Fitbit is cool, and it'll like help you live a healthier life. And the smart refrigerator, like smart thermometers, like those are cool. But in a enterprise settings, when it gets really interesting, like think a factory floor with like tons of sensors and actuators and a bunch of mechanisms that need keeping track of. Imagine if you just installed a bunch of like things that could keep track of all these things. You could make your process really efficient. You could develop a system like, say, a conveyor belt, and there's a camera on it, and you can scan the things that are on the conveyor belt. And if there's a defect, you can kick it off the conveyor belt or something. Like that's done with pretty advanced Internet of Things technologies. Basically, just like collecting data where data couldn't be collected before. I think that's the general gist of Internet of Things. And yeah, in the enterprise space, it's much more interesting than in the consumer space for me.
Yeah, I mean, so interesting. I was listening to someone from Amazon speak recently, and they talked about it warehouses where if it was starting to rain, the warehouse would automatically start moving umbrellas and things and jackets closer to the conveyor belts so that they would be quicker to ship and that sort of thing. Just amazing technology.
Exactly. Yeah. That's where Internet of Things really shines. Like before, you had to do it manually, or you had to like not do it at all. But yeah, exactly.
And the table tennis, is that something you'll carry on with?
For sure, yeah. When I was in Seattle before, I played at this club there that was really nice. So I'd keep playing. I won't give it up. I don't know how competitively I'll do it, but I do enjoy putting myself out there and keep playing this sport. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Hey, mate, it's really good to catch up with you, and it's great to have these interviews with Southlanders doing amazing things all around the world. So thanks once again. Really appreciate your time.
My pleasure.